Good evening. In the last class, I taught you regarding the false pelvis and the true pelvis. And to recapitulate, BREAM is the landmark which divides the pelvis into two parts. The parts remaining above is the false pelvis, and the parts remaining below is the true pelvis. Now, also I would like to recapitulate the important bony landmark for the pelvic BREAM. It starts anteriorly from the upper margin of the symphysis pubis, pubic crest, pubic tubercle, pectineal line, iliopubic eminence, iliopectineal line, sacroiliac joint, then anterior part of the ala of the sacrum and the sacral promontory. These bony landmarks, otherwise known as pelvic BREAM, it divides the pelvis. The parts remaining above is the false pelvis and parts remaining below is the true pelvis. Now, as far as true pelvis is concerned, this pelvic BREAM is otherwise known as inlet. And apart from the inlet, the lower portion is otherwise known as outlet or the bony outlet. The bony landmark of the inlet I have already told you, and the bony landmark of the anatomical outlet or the bony outlets are the lower part of the symphysis pubis, then istiopubic rami, ischial tuberosities, and tip of the coccyx. These are the bony landmark for the anatomical outlet. So this is the inlet and this is the outlet. So true pelvis is a segment of the pelvis which is bounded above by the inlet and below by the anatomical outlet. So this is otherwise known as true pelvis. Now inside the true pelvis, the most important bony landmark is the plane of least pelvic dimension. The bony landmark for the plane of the least pelvic dimension, it starts anteriorly from the lower part of the symphysis pubis to the ischial spine and to the fifth sacral vertebra. Now this is the bony landmark for the plane of least pelvic dimension. Now this plane of least pelvic dimension divides the true pelvis into two parts. The parts remaining above is otherwise known as cavity, and the parts remaining below is otherwise known as obstetrical outlet. So inside the true pelvis, now we are concerned about the four things. The first one is the inlet, the second one is the anatomical outlet, the third one is the cavity, and the fourth one is the obstetrical outlet. So let me analyze what is cavity. Cavity is a segment of the pelvis which is bounded above by the inlet and below by the plane of least pelvic dimension. An obstetrical outlet is a segment of the pelvis which is bounded above by the plane of the least pelvic dimension and below by the anatomical outlet. Today I will be telling you something some new thing regarding the pelvis. So what are those things? The first one I would like to highlight is the angle of inclination. What is that angle of inclination? Now the inlet of the pelvis, this is not the anatomical position of the pelvis. This is the anatomical position of the pelvis. Now the plane of the inlet makes an angle of 55 degree with the horizontal plane. That is known as angle of inclination. Now angle of inclination has got another two terminology, that is high angle of inclination and low angle of inclination. Means the normal value of angle of inclination is the 55 degree. This plane makes an angle of 55 degree with the horizontal plane, and when it is more than 55 degree it is called as high angle of inclination, and when it is less than angle of 55 degree it is known as low angle of inclination. High angle of inclination means it is due to sacralization of the fifth lumbar vertebra. Now this is the first sacral vertebra. Above that there is the fifth lumbar vertebra. When there occurs sacral changes on the fifth lumbar vertebra, otherwise known as sacralization of the fifth lumbar vertebra, that leads to a condition called as high angle of inclination. So what is the obstetric significance of high angle of inclination? Whenever there is high angle of inclination, it delays the engagement, it delays the descent, and it favors occipital posterior position. There are three important obstetrical significance for the high angle of inclination. It delays the engagement, it delays the descent, and it favors occipital posterior position. Instead of occipital anterior, the fetus presents with occipital posterior position. Similarly, there is a terminology called as low angle of inclination. Low angle of inclination is due to the lumbar changes on the first sacral vertebra. Lumbar changes in the first sacral vertebra where the angle of inclination becomes low. So it do not have many obstetric significance. Rather it appears, in such cases it appears there is early engagement of the head, early engagement of the presenting part. This is the importance of high angle of inclination and the low angle of inclination. I would like to highlight another thing related to what is the sacral angle. Sacral angle, as the name suggests, it is involved with the sacrum. So the true conjugate, that means the anteroposterior diameter of the inlet, true conjugate or the anatomical conjugate from the inner margin of the upper border of the symphysis pubis to the sacral pommenter. This is the true conjugate or the anatomical conjugate. Mind it, the inner margin of the upper border of the symphysis pubis with the sacral pommenter. If you join these two lines, then we get the true conjugate or anatomical conjugate. This line makes an angle of 90 degree with the first two pieces of the sacral vertebra. Makes an angle of 90 degree with the first two pieces of the sacral vertebra. This is called a sacral angle. When it is less than 90 degree, it results in the funneling of the pelvis. Funneling of the pelvis means this is an abnormal type of pelvis and it do not favor the normal vaginal. So this is all about the sacral angle. Then also I would like to highlight few things regarding the subpubic angle. So what is that subpubic angle? As the name suggests, pubis, below the pubis, subpubic angle. Now the descending rami at the level of the symphysis pubis, makes an angle of around 85 degree, and this is known as subpubic angle. Whenever there is low subpubic angle, it results in abnormal pelvis and do not favor the normal vaginal delivery. This is the subpubic angle, which is called 85 degree. 85 degree. Then also I would like to highlight the subpubic arch. What is that subpubic arch? Now from the apex, if you descend down 2 cm on the right side and 2 cm on the left side, you come to a point on the ischiopubic rami 2 cm below the apex on the left side, 2 cm below the apex on the right side. You make a distance, or if you measure the distance between the 2 points, it measures around 6 cm, or it should add up 3 fingers. And this particular point, this particular area is otherwise known as pubic arch. So from the apex, if you descend down 2 cm on the left side, 2 cm on the right side on the ischiopubic rami, and if you join 2 points, you get the subpubic arch. It should be 6 cm. It should add up 3 fingers. And if it measure less, then perhaps you are dealing with some abnormal pelvis and that do not favor the normal vaginal delivery. So this is all about the subpubic angle and the subpubic arch. Then also I would like to tell you regarding the waist space of Morris. So if you are taking a round disc of 9.3 cm diameter and put below the subpubic arch, the circumference of the disc, it should measure. If you measure the distance between the lower border of the symphysis pubis and the circumference of the disc, if you measure the lower border of the symphysis pubis and the circumference of the disc, it should be less than 1 cm. If it measures more than 1 cm, then perhaps you are dealing with some abnormal pelvis. And this particular space that should measure less than 1 cm, the distance between the lower border of the symphysis pubis and the circumference of the disc with diameter 9.3 cm is the waist space of Morris. Waist space means this particular space do not exactly take part in the mechanism of labor. So the space between the lower margin of the symphysis pubis and the circumference of the disc is otherwise known as a waist space of Morris. It should be less than 1 cm, should not be more than 1 cm. So these are all for today. In the next class, I will be teaching you the different diameters of the fetal skull and different diameters of the maternal pelvis. That is a very difficult task to remember for the undergraduates, but hopefully we will try to explain you so that you can remember for a long period of time. At least till the exam you should remember this. Thank you very much.